So as I said, I'm very proud this evening to recognize some of our Woonsocket High School wrestlers who had some extremely successful season this year. So when I call your name, if the student athlete would come to the stage and we will provide them with their certificate. The first student athlete is sophomore Christian Salome. Let me just say a few things about Christian. Christian is the junior varsity state finalist this year. We are very proud of all the work, the hard work that Christian put in this year as a sophomore. I'm sure there are many, many more recognitions that he's going to be receiving as he continues at Woonsocket High School. So let's give a round of applause to Christian Salome. Our next wrestler was the freshman state champion at 165 pounds and the fifth Novan to win freshman states, Isaac Supple. The next two wrestlers are seniors, and I think we might be here for a little while as I read their accomplishments. The first senior is Ethan Utley. Ethan won 3 tournaments this season, was a state finalist, sectional champion, first team all-division, second team all-state, 129 career wins, and second all-time in wins at Woonsocket High School. Ethan Utley. Our final senior wrestler is Benjamin Wilcox. Ben won 6 tournaments this season. 4th place at the New England tournament, only the second Novan ever to finish in the top 6 in the New England state finals. 3-time sectional champion, most ever by a Villanovan wrestler. First team all division, second team all state, 180 career wins, which is the most all-time in our program's history. Benjamin Wilcox. You guys had no idea there'd be this many people here celebrating your accomplishments tonight, did you? Again, congratulations to these stellar Woonsocket High School student athletes. We wish you all the best beyond high school, those of you who are going to be graduating this year and those of you who are going to be in the program for the next handful of years. I'm sure there's going to be many, many more accolades that you're going to be accomplishing. So thank you very much.
Okay, that was the easy part.
Yeah.
Next, we'll go into good and welfare.
For anyone addressing the school committee during good and welfare this evening, please begin with your name and address. Your comments shall be no more than 5 minutes of speaking time and should be in good decorum. Please be aware that the committee cannot respond to you during good and welfare, but may direct you to an appropriate member of the administration team or may meet with you directly after the meeting for further discussion. And also, I'd like to say that let's remember that student identities must remain confidential. Does anybody want to address the school committee this evening?
Good evening. My name's Robert Stewart. I'm president of Woonsocket Teachers Guild, 68 Cumberland, Woonsocket, Rhode Island. We, the educators of 11 public schools of the city, are here tonight because we want you to see us and hear us. We want to be safe. Woonsocket educators in the school district have a disagreement right now when our history has been more collaborative in the past. We've had an increased amount of dangerous situations in the schools, and we've reached out to Woonsocket Education Department, WED, to resolve a problem, and our request was met with silence. No email response, almost no discussion or possible solutions. We were concerned. There'd been documented assaults, staff, students, and administrator, and from the beginning of this dispute, what the Guild was looking for was a conversation. We needed the district to sit with us, simply lay out reasonable steps, a plan, if you will, and a time frame to address issues to make the classroom safe. There's no point in filing a grievance or arbitration if we're talking and working together. This was a solvable dispute. There are legal requirements, and the district may claim they're required to follow the law. We agree, follow the law. I would add, however, that there are steps outside of legal requirements that make students and staff safe. There are in-person conversations, phone calls, returned emails that make us safe. There's behavior interventionists, paraprofessionals, you can prohibit backpacks, and on and on and on. There are a lot of steps and tools in our tool belt to find solutions. And instead of discussing these things, our inquiries were met with silence, leading to a grievance and to us being here tonight. We're here tonight because we need to be. I can't look away. We can't look away. I do not know why it is this disagreement, a dangerous situation, egregious conduct, that WED has chosen not to work with us. Woonsocket Teacher Guild has not filed grievance after grievance. In the nearly 5 years I've been president of Woonsocket Teachers Guild, we have not appealed for arbitration, not once. Disagreements have come up, grievances were sometimes filed, and we worked through the problems. And the grievances were generally withdrawn. That is not where we are right now. Last week, WED handed me a denial of a safety grievance, and we've since filed for arbitration. Again, we're not looking for grievances or arbitration. We're looking to have conversations, reasonable steps to address safety. Safety affects every teacher in this district, and we want to feel that you see us and you have our backs. Moving forward, what we should be doing and can do is hold regular meetings. As simple as that, hold regular meetings. We sit, we collaborate, we reason, we discuss, we focus on what can be done, what discretion and what reasonable choices we do have instead of what cannot be done. We understand you have legal limitations, resource limitations. We should focus on agreement. Not culpability, not who's at fault, not who's not at fault. For us, this is just about student and staff safety. Before you is a safety survey sent out to hundreds of our educators this past week. We received 337 responses when that was printed. You can read the results for yourself. It's worth noting how many educators said they do not feel safe. If you add the last three categories, how often you feel safe, some of the time, once in a while, and none of the time, then 62.32% of the educators do not feel safe the majority of the time. We must do better. And it starts by having open, authentic conversations that builds credibility and respect rather than doubts and mistrust. We can make this better. Everyone loses if we do not communicate and we choose to litigate. The children and the staff win when we collaborate. Finally, a number of educators reached out to me because they're concerned about acts of intimidation or retribution for addressing safety issues here. We did that tonight, just tonight. Talk to me about that because they're concerned. I do not envision a scenario where anyone would face retribution for speaking tonight. That would be troubling. And while the union would support our members, the school committee and superintendent can go on record tonight and allay any concerns, making it clear that the school committee would not allow such a thing to happen. Other educators are here tonight to highlight safety concerns. Thank you for listening to us. Please work with us to make these schools safe. Thank you.
Thank you.
David Andrews, Woonsocket High School history teacher, Woonsocket Teachers Guild vice president for Woonsocket High School and the Woonsocket Career and Tech Center, 68 Cumberland Street, Woonsocket, Rhode Island. The situation regarding safety and security at Woonsocket High School and Woonsocket Area Career and Technical Center is dire. Students continue to wander the hallways during class times and especially during the lunch period. Many are emboldened to talk back to staff and teachers who are merely trying to get them to return to their classes or to the lunchroom. Teachers at the PM school are also concerned that there are no police officers present, as there are a number of students who are in the program due to behavioral issues. As Rob stated earlier, overall 62% of teachers in the district only feel safe some of the time or not at all, according to the survey sent out by the Woonsocket Teachers Guild. While I do not disagree with positive behavioral interventions and supports, or PBIS as it's known, I and other teachers feel that Woonsocket High School and the Career and Tech Center lack the amount of staff needed to properly implement the appropriate scaffolding and support that is required, in particular with administrators and counselors. Woonsocket High School and the Woonsocket Area Career and Tech normally would have 6 administrators total, 4 at Woonsocket High School and 2 at the Career and Tech Center. Currently, there are only 2 at the high school and 1 at the Career and Tech Center. Social workers at both schools have very large case numbers already, making it difficult to follow up on students with behavioral issues. The proper implementation of PBIS definitely requires more training and, more importantly, adequate staffing. On another note, Woonsocket High School has worked hard to come out from under the Rhode Island Department of Education's comprehensive support and intervention protocols. Teachers deserve recognition for their hard work and diligence. Ride track students and teacher chronic absenteeism, and over the past year, teachers have cut chronic absenteeism in half, while chronic student absenteeism has dropped from around 63% down to 48%. Despite the turnover of assistant principals at the high school, the deans have been consistent, present in the halls and responding to difficult situations. I hear their names called on the walkie-talkies many times during the day to deal with myriad issues. They also deserve recognition tonight. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Barbara Ozanian, 37 Cold Spring Place, Woonsocket. I'm a vice president of Woonsocket Teachers Guild. I specifically cover paraprofessionals who on a daily basis take these children and try to protect them. I think they need to be protected. All staff, faculty, everyone deserves to be safe and protected. I would like you to look around and look at everybody in here. I don't see angry faces. I see passionate faces, compassion, and wanting to do better and feel safe. We're here to ask for your help. The safety brings us out. It is our job to try to protect the children, the students of the city. It's your job to protect us. And that's not really the case this year. Many staff have been injured and repetitively over and over again. I just want to end. There's many incidents reports and that can show it. Please pay attention. Please let us do our job for a safe environment and address these safety risks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Chris Parker, 102 Jackson Schoolhouse, teacher at Globe Park Elementary School. Just slightly over 3 years ago, I presented this same letter almost to you, Dr. McGee, almost to the day, for the need for extra support, especially at Globe Park Elementary School. I have submitted a letter up top for each and every one of you that Kim can pass out. However, one of the biggest pieces is that looking at Globe Park School in comparison to our other schools, especially our middle schools, you'll see I have a set of data tables there to actually show the amount of supports versus one building versus the other. Globe Park has been very turbulent throughout the years. Since 2014, just shy of 11 years, we have gone through 4 building principals, 5 to 6 secretaries, and 3 school nurses. That is a tremendous turnover in an elementary school. I understand that vice principals are really not a cost-effective measure in our district, and it has always been a building block because finances will not support that. So I solicited pretty strongly in the need for a dean to assist with behavior management at the elementary level. Most specifically because a dean would be a Woonsocket Education Department employee. They can help with state mandates for state testing. They can help with implementation of educational practices, as well as do with the day-to-day needs of our behavior supports that are needed throughout our buildings. You can see times have changed, especially post-COVID. Typically, students arrive in kindergarten knowing at least some ABCs and 1, 2, 3s, and those days have gone. We have children arriving in our kindergarten classrooms who aren't even toilet trained, don't even know their first name. I got a long paper, people, hold it on. Our primary age students especially have come with extreme maladaptive behaviors. And I'm talking about our typical students. They have maladaptive behaviors such as eloping, stripping off their clothing, scratching, biting, throwing desks. And this is all in a classroom of 25. And at Globe, we have multiple overages of 27 students, one teacher to those 27 students, and the student with those maladaptive behaviors. We unfortunately cannot keep up with the behavior calls that come in and day out. On any given day, and I'm giving you a lowball number, of at least 10 calls on our walkie-talkies for behavior support. And we cannot meet those in a timely fashion. And it's not from lack of trying. Many times our crisis team has been activated where we needed to pull certified staff from other classrooms to come and assist in these crisis situations. And I'm talking typical classrooms, our norm. If our self-contained classrooms where Globe services some of our most diverse students throughout the district, those students, when those staff call for assistance, it's because it's well beyond their staff's needs. And therefore, it's an imminent danger situation where we need to mobilize and assist. And I know I'm cutting quick on time. You can see in the data tables that I provided, the differences of the students and the staff and the people available. Globe is hovering at 529 students. Hamlet, 525. The differences in the staffing between principals, vice principals, deans, social workers, guidance counselors, we don't have that at the elementary. We train our elementary students to help your middle school students become much more proficient members in our communities. Our elementary students cannot be let go like a middle school student can. The law states at 8, they can walk home alone with parent permission. However, our laws say 10 is much more feasible number. That is not necessarily the case. I'm going to jump ahead because I believe in being proactive, and I know that we need to provide solutions. Once again, I gave you my entire spiel because obviously I'm giftedly outspoken. However, I know in our district that there is a need. There's a need to create a new role. And once upon a time, our Title I director was Title I in grants. I'm hoping we're writing grants to bring more monies into Woonsocket. I know we need it. I got 3 seconds, hush it. I suggest we move our 5th grade students starting next year because it's eminent to reduce some of these numbers at the elementary and start providing at least a little bit of respite. I also want to just end especially with a thank you for those walkie-talkies, minimize disruptions throughout our school day so that we can keep education for the classrooms that are running smoothly. And I think it's imperative that we have district-wide professional development when it comes to CPI protocols, crisis prevention and intervention, that align with the PBIS protocols. And I think with us moving to a district-wide professional development, that it's eminent and important that we do that as a district-wide place. Thank you for your time. Please read my.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Rebecca Nardone. I'm at 12 Perry Street, and I actually teach 2nd grade at Pothier Elementary. I've been taking some data this past week. I was interrupted an average of 242 times a day, with the highest actually being today, which was 286 times. Now, you probably are thinking that these interruptions are from student behavior, like kids throwing chairs, throwing desks, getting physical, or simply blurting out. While all of this does happen, these 242 interruptions were not due to student behavior, but due to our walkie-talkies. If you don't know, Pothier has been without an intercom and direct phones to the classroom since the start of the school year. So all of our calls regarding student behavior, the nurse, buses, dismissal, emergencies are all given out on the walkie. This is a major safety issue because we cannot always hear what's being said on the walkie due to it cutting out. But also, to be honest, many of us teachers turn the walkie down because we don't want to be interrupted an additional 242 times a day. On top of this, it's a major distraction for teachers and students across Pothier and citizens because the two schools use the same walkie-talkie channel. When it goes off, my students have expressed that it makes them feel annoyed, mad, frustrated, and stressed out because they cannot hear over it. It's distracting, and quite frankly, it wastes our time. And I teach a class of many MLL students, so being able to listen to myself and their classmates is very important if we want to help them learn. We even got an email today telling us to cut down the radio calls due to RICAS starting shortly. Our campus has been identified as a CSI school, and I guarantee you that the interruptions on the walkie will impact those students taking the RICAS. When it comes down to it, we don't hear emergencies on the walkie, and if something happens like what we see in schools on the news all the time, I personally don't feel safe, and we don't have the communication to keep our faculty and students safe. I have been told that it's just not in the budget to fix the intercoms, but to me, that means Woonsocket is saying the safety of the students and faculty at Pothier is not in the budget. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Debbie Piet. I am a teacher at Citizens Elementary. If you look it up, school safety is defined as the creation of a secure and supportive environment where students and staff can learn and work without the fear of bullying, harassment, violence, or other threats by including physical security, emergency preparedness, and the fostering of a positive school culture. The current state of our schools would greatly contradict that definition. School for many of our students is their safe haven. It is a place where they seek not only an education, but reprieve from the hardships they have to cope with when the school day ends. They look to their classroom as not only a safe refuge, but the teachers and staff as their comfort, and for some, the only mentors they have. Teachers give their all not only to educate, but encompass the sense of safety, belonging, and nurturing in their classrooms. This sense of safety, security, and the ability to teach and learn is being stolen from all of us. Why, you ask? Because of the consistent disruption from students who require far more assistance and resources that are not realistic in a typical academic setting. Yet they are placed in classrooms and teachers are left to figure it out. Our schools are short-staffed and we are functioning at bare minimum. I understand that every child has a right to an education, but does one student have the ability to steal the education of other students? Does that one student have the right to put everyone's safety at risk? These students are coming into our classrooms, destroying classrooms. They are throwing furniture or other items at teachers, staff, and students. Teachers and staff are assaulted by these same students. Classrooms are being evacuated. Support is scarce because we are short-staffed, and our support teams are often answering multiple emergency calls all throughout the day. Shelters in place and rescue calls are becoming a norm, subjecting everyone involved to an unsafe environment, and the constant loss of learning is absolutely unacceptable. I can stand here and give you personal accounts of incidents that I have personally dealt with this year, but I want to take this moment to reinforce that this is our norm across the district. You can see it right here. So many incidents, but no discussions, no plans, just constant sweeping under the rug. Respectfully, I'd like to ask you, does it seem like this is the typical acceptable environment for an academic setting? If your child or grandchild were sitting in these classrooms, would you feel comfortable? Would you remain silent? Or if you were faced with the daily anxiety of while at work, not knowing if, when, or how a colleague would lash out, how would that affect your workday and your work environment? We are all asking for just the basic human right of safety in our schools to be addressed immediately. The dirt has been swept under the rug for far too long, and it is no longer able to be kept hidden. I leave you with one final question. Do the teachers, staff, and students of Woonsocket not deserve the basic human right to safety? Do not let your lack of action answer this question. As we all know, that actions speak louder than words. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Janae Alexis. I'm a current senior at Woonsocket High School. First of all, I'd just like to start as a senior and as a resident of Woonsocket. I'm extremely disappointed in the way that our school district handles safety measures at this school, and I've been in the Woonsocket district my whole life. As you all know, on Monday, March 24th, we were in a lockdown for over an hour during our 6th period. No staff took proper measures, or the staff that, at least the staff I was around, took proper measures, and it was taken as a joke. The classroom I was in left the windows open, continued teaching, and the classroom next to me was laughing and saying that it doesn't matter. Staff has also said, and I quote, today at school, "The threat is not real, so I'll continue to teach in my classroom during a lockdown as I please." While we are in a lockdown. To me, that is a severe problem as a student because I should not feel like that while in that building. Another point I'd like to make is some point in time within this year, a 22-year-old was let into the building. That is an intruder. And we were put onto a shelter in place. The shelter in place is at our school. It's not even a shelter in place anymore because there's no shelter being held. Students are allowed passes during this time. They're not kept in the classrooms, and the teachers don't really care. Like I said before, teachers take it as a joke. The 22-year-old that walked into our school signed in as a student and was let in through the main office, which should be the hardest portion to enter our school from, which I find a little bit ridiculous. Excuse my words, but yeah. They were let into the school and they made it to the 2nd floor of the building into a classroom. To me, that is a problem because if that woman had a weapon or anything like that, whose lives would have been at risk? The students and the staff that try to work every day to keep us safe. Also, this is from my parent, the watered down emails they don't help the problem, and they don't provide any credibility on what's going on in the school. The kicking everything under the dirt and pushing it under the rug is not going to help us all at the end of the day, and it doesn't keep us safe, and it doesn't give parents any more right of mind to feel safe sending their kids to Woonsocket High School. I've felt multiple times within my 3 years that I don't want to go to school tomorrow, or I don't want to go to school today, because there have been threats made against the school and nothing is done about it. We're putting shelter in place, and they call it a day. That's not okay, and it needs to change, at least after I graduate or while I'm still a senior in this school. Sorry. To end it off, I have a question. What will it take for you guys to invest in metal detectors in the school to better the safety of our students? Because, thank you. Metal detectors, they detect steel. It's not something very hard to get put in place. They detect steel. Any type of weapon, any type of something that should not belong in the school will be detected, and the resource officer at our school can deal with the measures continuing forward. But yes, what will it take for you guys to invest in metal detectors to better the safety of our schools before it's too late and something truly bad happens? Thank you.
Melissa Bubble, 650 3rd Avenue, Woonsocket, Rhode Island, 02895. I first would like to double check, is the recording working tonight? The YouTube recording all working tonight? Everything good? Okay. Okay,
As far as
thank
we
you.
know.
All right, thank you. Okay, thank you. I am here to address a longstanding unacceptable pattern, one that has allowed our schools to fall into disrepair while we feed the same tired excuse that there is no money to fix them. We have heard this story for years, and yet we all know the truth. These conditions did not appear overnight. They are the result of years of neglect, of short-term patches instead of long-term solutions, of knowingly ignoring problems until they become crisis. Look no further than Globe School. The issues it faces today, the issues with the roof, poor air quality, and unsafe environment for students and staff were not sudden. They were avoidable, but instead of consistent maintenance, and instead of fixing problems when they first arose, we saw Band-Aid solutions slapped onto growing cracks. And now we are told once again that there's no money to fix it properly. However, I do know recently that the roof is in the process of being bidded for repair. Let me ask you this. If your car needed a serious repair, would you just tape it together and hope for the best? If your home had a leaking roof, would you just place a bucket underneath it and ignore it? Of course not. You would invest in real repairs because you know that waiting will only make things worse and more expensive. And if you didn't have the money right away, you would save up to make sure that the job was done right. So why don't we apply this same logic to our schools? Why do we allow the places where our children learn, our teachers work, to deteriorate year after year? The fact is, we do have the money. We just aren't prioritizing the schools. Holding on to the 7% for the new elementary school while kids and staff suffer in unsafe conditions is just irresponsible. It's negligent. Every day that this continues, we are forcing our students and teachers to pay the price for decisions that were made at the top, decisions that put their health and education second to financial maneuvering. Enough is enough. We cannot keep allowing this cycle to continue. We must prioritize real long-term solutions over quick fixes. We must continue to commit with ongoing maintenance, not just emergency repairs. We must demand that our schools, our children's education be treated as a priority and not an afterthought. Globe School is just one example. but it represents a much larger problem. We need accountability, we need action, and we need it now because our students and teachers deserve better than this. During the March 5th meeting about the Globe Park school roof, a parent had asked for the roof repair costs documentation. She was told it would take too much time to accumulate, and there was not a clear record of repairs, as for years, most times it was an unlicensed roofer, which is also known as the maintenance repair guy, who has been paid to just pour Flex Seal on the leaking portions. And to those who have challenged me about the new elementary school discussion, that it wasn't discussed in 2017, I assure you I have proof that during the release of the Jacobs report, it was discussed in 2017. As for the high school and the others that are here to support our school system, I'd like to say I also support you all. And both students, staff, and guardians and parents are all concerned about safety. We need to put money towards making everyone feel safe. For far too long, our public schools have been put on the back burner. We need to start prioritizing our safety in our schools as a whole, as well as the education.
Hello, I'm Kiana Bergeron. I live at 174 Rivulet in Woonsocket. I would like to express my concerns regarding Globe Elementary School. While meeting with the superintendent at Globe about the leaky roof, we was told that mitigation will continue to come back out to assure the safety of our staff and our students until the roof was fixed. I haven't heard anything about them coming back, and seeing buckets in doorways is a little concerning considering all the rain we have had and have to come. Have we had a follow-up since the initial closing? It's also concerning that the roof can take anywhere from 1 to 5 weeks to fix, which means our children will most likely be in this school while it's being worked on, or will we have to close? How will we assure that's the safest? Will you follow up with a detailed plan? Roof work can involve hazards such as falling debris and potential exposure to materials. It also can be very disruptive and potentially interfere with the learning environment. I also understand we are building a new school. What will we do different as far as maintenance and maintaining any repairs that we may not be able to afford in the future? Who will be held accountable when the school and others continue to deteriorate? What accountability measures can we put in place to ensure that maintenance and repairs are carried out promptly and effectively? Understand, Globe has needed a roof since before 2016. It's concerning and frustrating that the only people being held accountable for something so preventable is our staff and our children. They now have to make up days due to finance and repair negligence. Our children are very irritable. Our parents and staff are scrambling. It's not fair. How can we prepare in the future for emergencies like this? I also would like to quickly address the last lockdown at the high school. As you may have seen or heard, parents have stated police scanners said that a knife was recovered, but the juvenile was bolo. If this is accurate information, why does the emails we receive always state that nothing credible was found? This raises serious questions about transparency and trust. We can't help guide our children with disinformation. This school has several lockdowns a day, and some we don't even know what happened until our children come home. What can we do better to support our children, staff, and create a safer educational environment? Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Savannah Noe, 93 Borden Boulevard.
Excuse me, ma'am, but we can't hear you. There we go.
Can you hear me now?
Much better.
Okay, sorry about that. Good evening. My name is Savannah Noe, 93 Borden Boulevard. I'm a single parent of an 8-year-old and a 5-year-old, and we've been part of the Globe Park School for 3 years now. I'm here tonight to address some concerns about communication, negligence, and poor decision-making that have directly impacted students and families. My first concern regards to transportation. When my 5-year-old started school this year, her pediatrician requested she be placed in a harness on the school bus due to her small size. This was denied because she didn't have an IEP. I was later told that we live too close to the school for bus service, but I don't have reliable transportation, and the 2 previous years we did have bus service. My 5-year-old has asthma, making the 0.9-mile walk across railroad tracks and major roads both unsafe and unhealthy. As a result, she has struggled with absences and tardiness, an issue that could have been avoided if the district prioritized student safety over rigid policies. Bullying. My 8-year-old has endured relentless bullying this year, none of which was reported to me by school staff, despite state policy requiring parent notification within 24 hours. The bullying escalated to the point where my child's life was threatened, yet no one informed me, checked on her, or ensured her emotional well-being. She was simply sent back to continue her day. Despite meeting with administrators, nothing changed. She no longer felt safe or supported at school, and I felt there was no choice but to withdraw her and homeschool. I should not have had to make that decision. The district needs a victim-centered approach to bullying, one that includes proactive check-ins, accountability, and real consequences for inaction. Finally, the extended day. The decision has been an unfair burden to both families, students, and the staff. The 5-day closure was a direct result of years of neglected roof repairs, an issue dating back to at least 2016. Instead of addressing the root cause, failed district maintenance, the solution is to add longer school days, punishing those who had no part in the problem. Longer days mean increased fatigue, decreased focus, and less time for homework, extracurriculars, and family. Parents with set work schedules now struggle with dismissal times. Teachers who are already overworked are facing further exhaustion and going to be closer to burnout. They should not bear the consequence of poor leadership. The district needs to do better. Schools need to be a safe, supportive environment where students can learn and thrive, not places where parents are left fighting for basic protections. We need leadership that is proactive, transparent, and accountable, not ones that prioritize reactive, short-term decisions that create more harm than good. Our children and staff deserve better. Thank you.
Thank you.
Charlene Garvin, 15 Wildwood Circle, Millville, Massachusetts. I'm a 2nd grade teacher and the secretary for the Woonsocket Teachers Guild. My goal in speaking here tonight is to make sure the committee understands our safety concerns and to beg you to take action that will make our schools safe for staff and students. I listen to these meetings and I hear reports on open positions, special ed numbers, closed work orders, and updates on the new school. Granted, all important information. But how come there's never a report detailing the number of assaults on teachers, or 911 calls, or shelter-in-place orders, or lockdowns, or student suspensions or arrest for violence? School safety should be our top priority. Collecting and analyzing this type of data would, 1, acknowledge that there is a problem, and 2, help to focus our resources to ensure school safety. The survey numbers Robert Stewart presented earlier were not surprising, but it was sobering to see them on paper. If you actually dissect the numbers, 97% of our staff reported feeling unsafe at some point, 97%. And only nine teachers out of the 337 that responded said they felt safe all of the time. That is a staggering statistic. How about the 122 teachers reporting that their instruction is interrupted more than 5 times a week by disruptive students and emergency orders? That's a lot of lost instructional time. Let's face it, some of our schools are out of control. Maybe if we regain control, teachers could actually teach and students could focus on learning. Maybe test scores would go up and we could get some schools out of CSI. Here's an example of how these interruptions affect all children, not just the unlucky ones stuck in classrooms with volatile students. While my students were at an itinerant class, a shelter in place was ordered. 911 was called and a child was taken out by ambulance. Right after that, another kid went off. While I don't know the details of what led to the shelter in place, here's what I do know. The lunch cycles for the entire school had to be adjusted. My class missed an hour of instructional time, so I skipped math. And my students were on edge for the rest of the day. And I can tell you, not much learning went on. The vast majority of our students are kind, respectful kids who want to learn. Yeah, you're right. They're great. By not addressing these dangerous, disruptive behaviors, we are robbing these children of the fundamental right to an education. We are advocating for them. As a union officer, I get contacted by teachers across the district about safety issues. I see the pictures of classrooms that have been trashed and get asked how to fill out injury reports and what urgent care the district wants us to use. Frankly, much of what I hear is horrifying. For instance, a teacher was assaulted by a student and sustained an injury to her wrist. After wearing a brace and going to physical therapy for months, she has only regained 50% of the strength in that wrist, and there's a good chance she will never fully recover. How about the teacher who got hit in the back of the head by a student? She's not sure if she was punched or hit with a Chromebook. Either way, she went to urgent care, and even though she passed the concussion protocol, she was advised not to sleep more than 4 hours at a clip. Scary, right? I wish these were isolated cases. They are not, and it is unacceptable. Violence in our school is on the rise, and we do not have the staff or the resources to deal with the level of trauma, mental illness, and criminal behavior we are seeing in some of our students. We are a public school district, not a therapeutic facility, and certainly not a juvenile detention center. Dangerous students are being dumped in classrooms without adequate support. I want to know how this is okay. As educators, we have the right to a safe working environment and the professional responsibility to demand a safe environment for our students. We've done what we can as educators. We've gone to central admin multiple times, and now we've brought our concerns to this committee. It is incumbent on you to do something about it. Thank you.
I knew I should have went in front of you. You did give me the chance, you did. Kimberly Coutier, Vernon Heights Elementary School, kindergarten teacher, and I live currently at 255 Avenue A here in Woonsocket. To be honest, the situation I'm going to speak about is something that I encountered last year. I never really was able to sit and reflect on what had happened to me over the past year, and over time it just became the norm. When I heard that other teachers were encountering situations alike, I felt that I just wanted to be able to tell my story. I wanted them to know that they are not alone. Last year, while pregnant, I encountered situations in the classroom where I felt unsafe due to the behavior of these students. In particular, a student, despite receiving multiple accommodations, continued to be violent and aggressive in any way. This led to 19 write-ups, 7 suspensions, multiple 911 calls, resulting in restraints from support staff and EMT workers. At one point, I was shut in the principal's office for protection while the student tried to throw broken ceramic at me through the front office window and crawl through to attack me and my unborn child. Eloping from the classroom, school lockdowns, classroom evacuations resulting in the lack of teaching academics, trying to use my school-issued lanyard to choke me, climbing window ledges, jumping from furniture, trashing the classroom, which included flipping tables and throwing chairs, verbal threats each day wanting to harm me and my students, weekly conversations from other concerned parents, hitting, kicking, and biting, breaking the skin, therefore resulting in support staff getting tetanus shots, repeated behavioral meetings where the only options that were discussed were to implement more unrealistic accommodations. In one specific discussion, instead of removing the student, we discussed having me possibly stay home for the 7 remaining days of the school because I was pregnant and in danger. At the time of being 7 to 8 months pregnant, extremely ill and feeling unsafe daily, I had to sit in meetings where supportive staff and admin, where I was placed behind a desk and 2 staff members on each side of me to keep me safe, as the student was also placed behind a physical divider with a personal one-to-one worker. I dealt with this to the very last day, where I had to lead the kindergarten graduation, where accommodations of support staff, making sure that my unborn child and I were safe while passing out diplomas, taking pictures, and handing out gifts, all with a smile on my face. When classrooms become unpredictable, it hinders the ability of students to focus, learn, and grow. It places an undue emotional and physical strain on teachers who are committed to providing the best education possible. All I ask today is that we acknowledge that these challenges are happening and that they require attention. I want to say thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak today in a matter that is not only close to my heart, but also everyone in this room. It's crucial for our well-being and success of our educational community.
So my name's Al Natariani. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for the district, and I just wanted to add some information on the.
Mr. Notoriani, would you
Yes.
speak louder, please?
Certainly, I've never been accused of not being loud enough, so I apologize. I just want to add some details on the Globe Park roof. Indeed, there has been some leaks in the building. We did have the Jacobs report in 2016, which was a state report. They evaluated all schools across the entire state. And the Jacobs report had a number of findings in many districts. The caveat to that is while they had many findings, they didn't offer any funding or additional funding to the districts. So I don't know the specifics as to what was found in 2016. I know at Globe Park, we've had some persistent leaks. I would acknowledge at our meeting in March, a parent did inquire as to what repairs were done and what it was documented. And as for those of you that work here, I'm sure you're sick of me saying it, but there were work orders. We have work orders. We had approximately 50 work orders. Each of them were responded to. There are some repairs we were able to do in-house. As you know many of our facilities workers. They're a limited staff. I think you probably know them by face and name. They work very hard to try and repair the buildings as best they can with the limited budget, which is what they did at Globe. I can tell you a few years ago, we ended up having to hire a roofing company for one section because there was an extreme amount of water leaking into 2 of the classrooms. More recently, we've had the usual leaks that we go up and repair. We do. We use tar. We go up and we remove any of the gravel. And we put tar down and try and replace things as best we can anytime there is a leak because we don't have enough money to replace the roofs in mass across the district. Particularly at Globe Park, recently, there was a 5-day closure because there was a catastrophic event in terms of the ice and snowstorms that many of you probably experienced. And I did speak with the staff a few weeks back. The snow came down, then it froze up, then it melted, then it froze, then it melted, which caused separation in the ceilings, rather in the roofing. And we had drastic leaks, which were reported, and that's what caused the building closure. We've had a remediation company come in. They did what we normally do for any of you that had any type of issue. We always test to make sure the air quality is safe. That is a protocol we put in place. For those of you who've experienced it in any building, we test. Then we go back and do a second test, and you're welcome to see them. And I believe Dr. McGee shared the air quality tests for Globe Park via email. I'm not sure if it's on the website, but it can be posted there. But it was shared out per our conversation. We're doing the best we can with the roofing. We're doing the best we can with the funding here in the district. I don't think I'm going to tell anyone because I'm newer to the district. For those of you who've spent your entire career here, we've always lacked funding for our facilities. And we do the best we can with what we get. We do the best we can with the facility staff that we have. And we're trying our best. At Globe Park, they did fix as much as they could. Every morning, the facility staff goes particularly to that building. They go to all of them. They go to that building to make sure that there isn't any uptick in the leaks. There have been additional reports. We've talked to the company that came out. They were out yesterday or the day before doing additional work in the gymnasium. And they have additional work that they'll be coming out for as it's reported. So that's kind of what we're doing at Globe Park. And in addition to that, we don't have necessarily the money, but we did request, and I'm not the finance director, Mr. Perry is, but we did request assistance from the state, and they were able to help us out with the roof at some point in the very near future in terms of how it's funded. But we do have it scheduled to have work started in April. We're going to work with the faculty and staff and Ms. Kennel there to make sure that the roofing work is done so it doesn't interrupt instruction during the day. We're going to start work during the April break. And then beyond that, we're going to do work in such a way that it doesn't impact during the school day. That means that they will do work before school starts or after school gets out, or they might work in the gym when it's good weather and the students are out at phys ed. They'll work in the gym then so it's not to interrupt things. Also take into account, state testing that's coming up. So that's what I have in terms of an update for Globe Park. And then one other item that came up, I just want to make sure everyone's aware, we did purchase radios for everyone. That was not in lieu of an intercom system anywhere. Those were purchased prior to any issues we've had with the intercom systems. We've applied for state funding to rewire our intercom systems. Unfortunately, the state will not refund us or pay for the actual intercoms. So they'll treat the wiring as an emergency, but they will not treat the intercoms as an emergency or telephones. And so everyone's aware, I'm not expressing this, it's not in a vacuum. I do talk to Mr. Stewart, and I try and keep him apprised of what we're doing with the intercoms and the telephones. In particular, I'm going to say Mr. Andrews, and maybe it doesn't apply maybe at the elementary level, for those who work at the elementary and middle school level. I have talked to Ms. Renegaldo and Ms. Murphy regarding this as recently as, I think it was about a month ago. So we are working with what we've got for money. We're rewiring where we can, and we're trying to find grants. I know we talked about grants earlier, trying to find a way to fund the intercoms and the telephones as well. The radios were not purchased in lieu of that. They were purchased before this, and it was an add-on because oftentimes I would hear the old Amazon radios we would buy online didn't work across the Pothier Citizens campus. They didn't work in the high school because of the frequencies. They didn't work across the campus here at the middle school. So we bought some very high-level radios that they're not quite police grade, if you will, but they do work much better than what the radios we had in place before. So that's just information to share that I'm aware of. Hope I clarified a few points. Thank you.
Thank you.
We get a clap.
Nobody clapped. Order, please.
Congo's all new tonight.
Hi, my name is Annette Lavasser. I'm a special ed teacher at Harris Elementary School. I live at 147 Glen Road in Woonsocket. I'm here speaking for a lot of the teachers in my building. Oh, sorry. I'm speaking for a lot of the teachers in my building who can't speak because a lot of them are new. In our building is very dangerous. I have pictures of 2 injuries that I had this year, and one of them I had to go to the urgent care. I needed a tetanus shot and I needed antibiotics because the child's bite was so bad, he broke the skin. When I went to the school nurse, I was told that it was just a little bruise, but they told me that I was lucky that I went in because being a diabetic, I could have gotten very ill from it. Last year, I was injured in class. I broke my foot. I was in a boot. I went back to school, and on Valentine's Day, there was a child running through the hallway unwatched, and the parent was standing there. She kicked my boot and re-broke my foot. When I went back to the doctor, he took me out of school till my foot was completely healed. So I missed 6 months of school last year. Being a special ed teacher, that broke my heart because my kids mean a lot to me. There's not enough staff in the class. There's not enough help. I have been shorthanded since the beginning of the year. I had children that needed a 1-on-2, and I never had anybody. I had a classroom assistant that retired in December. She has not been replaced yet. And I know that there are other TAs in the building that are missing. So This is part of their IEP. This is part of their federal grant. These kids need these TAs, and you need to find them somewhere so that these teachers are not working shorthanded. Our school is considered to be one of the most dangerous in the area because of the kids and the behaviors that we have, yet we only have one BI. That makes no sense to me. As a special ed teacher, very rarely do I call for help because I usually can take care of all my behaviors. I have been given children by Dawn because I can take care of my children. This year, I have been calling for help and nobody has been coming. There are days that I call and I have to call back an hour later because the behaviors are still going on. I'm retiring this year. I would have loved to have stayed on. I would have loved to stayed on because I love my kids and I love working with my kids, but I don't feel safe at my age to be working. So unfortunately, something that I love, I can't do anymore. I have to say that I used to love getting up and coming to school every day. Now it has become a chore. I wake up in the morning at 5 o'clock and I have to talk myself into coming to school. And there are days when I come in and I sit and cry in my classroom, and my kids come over and give me a hug because they know how bad I feel. I have had meetings with the principal and the assistant special ed director where I have started crying because I'm so upset about this whole situation. If I were to tell anybody about teaching and if they should go into it now, I would say no. If I knew what I know now, I never would have become a teacher. And I absolutely love teaching. So it breaks my heart that this is going on and that nobody is backing us up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Carlene Neves, 86 East Ave, Barberville, Rhode Island. I'm a kindergarten special education resource teacher at Vernon Heights, and I'm here today to express my concerns of safety in the building. The safety concerns that I want to speak about are physical harm, safety, and mental aspects of these injuries. Over the last few years, working in the kindergarten setting, we've had several students come into our school with behaviors including aggression and causing physical harm to myself and other staff, as well as students. Over the last 2 years, this has definitely increased. At the school level, there are procedures and protocols that need to be followed for the safety and well-being of everyone. The number of times situations become unsafe is astounding. I'm now going to give just a few examples of my own personal experience as a resource teacher, but also as a member of the response team to behaviors in our school. This past year, multiple teachers and staff who will work in the classroom that I support have been injured and assaulted by one particular student. This student has injured multiple students and teachers and staff, with the most recent person being myself. As the student became physical contact with a peer, I was then had to go and de-escalate the child, who then became physical with myself. After school that day, I went to urgent care and I was asked these questions, which were very eye-opening. Do you feel safe in your school? Do you feel supported in your school? Do you work in a public school setting or a behavioral setting? Do you feel safe around this student? These questions were due to the mental aspect of being assaulted by a young child. The doctor was very concerned about mental aspect of this injury. I am very lucky that I was not injured worse than I was. Other issues that have happened, and some have already been spoken about tonight, the evacuation of classrooms and the amount of time that takes, taking away from the learning of everybody, not just that one particular child. The kids have to leave really fast, and you take what you can with you and try to keep teaching, and the instructional time is lost. Students throwing physical objects like scissors, chairs, desks. These things all become very unsafe really fast. Having to have soft lockdowns for 30+ minutes sometimes while additional support from outside EMTs and stuff arrive. Allowing the students to stay in a safe location, interrupting their schedule, changing lunch schedules, changing these things around. And also as a member of the response team, having to stop mid-lesson, mid-group, mid-everything to respond to those calls. But then have to do a debrief afterwards, which is totally understandable. But it's taking you away from your job and taking you away from your students' learning. As a teacher and staff, we all have the right to work in a safe environment and be supported physically, mentally, and with building safety. Not just for ourselves, but our coworkers as well, but also for the students. At this point in time, there is a significant issue with these things. It's happening just not at Vernon and our schools, it's across the whole district. My question to you is, how can we fix this? How can teachers, staff, and students feel safe in our environments? These questions is what I'm asking the committee and administration to allow teachers and staff to do their job the best way that they can to educate the youth of our community and to become, so they can become what they want to be when they grow up at an adult age. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Mina Antunes, and I'm currently a senior at the Woonsocket High School. I'm here on the behalf as class president to speak for seniors, and not only just seniors, but the students of the high school. I have some quotes that I would like to say that came from a few students that I asked. How did you feel about the lockdown that happened on Monday? Personally, I wasn't there, but even as someone who goes to pick up their friend for school, I felt flustered. I felt scared for my friend because I didn't know what was happening. Information wasn't given. At the beginning of the school year, we were told that we would be doing ALICE trainings, and I understand that teachers have done that, but why aren't we implementing it where students could also practice the same thing? So if something were to occur, how can we protect ourselves? Something else I would like to say. That could have been our last moment. The fact that a senior, is coming to me saying that could have been their last moment because they didn't know what was happening, they didn't know the circumstance at hand. We could have died. Students were not aware of the situation. High schoolers deserve complete transparency. We're making excuses for kids and strangers when they are threatening our students. One second, sorry. Parents should be giving information rather than all is safe, all is well. Schools stopped taking lockdowns seriously, specifically teachers in the classroom. And I'm not speaking for all teachers because I know you guys do try your best, but there are some teachers that actually did not take it seriously. A senior said it would be way more calming to know what is happening rather than panicking by not knowing what is happening. And this is coming from my parent. Administration should be more trusted to share correct info with students and be prepared no matter what than be blindsided. Just some key moments I would like to share. Change needs to happen before it's too late. You need to listen to your community, and we need to install metal detectors into the high school.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Pat Ford. I'm a local reporter. I host a local radio show for what that's worth. But first
Mr.
and
Ford,
foremost,
I can't hear you.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Not usually a problem. My name is Pat Ford. I'm a local reporter based out of Providence. And I also have a local radio show on 1380. That's not important. What I am actually is a lifelong civil libertarian. And the balance of my life will be actually spent engaging in conversations about civil liberties. I was so concerned, and by the way, I've tried to be very supportive of the school system. It's a wonderful group of people, both the parents, the students. I've worked closely on a couple of occasions with the state coverage on with the local administrators here. Despite all the challenges, all of you have a lot to be proud of. This is really a wonderful community. But I wanted to express my concern about the failure of the Woonsocket Education Department to broadcast public comment here. Whether it's public comment or a good in welfare or any number of ways that people can characterize this, comment from the community is an integral part of democracy, whether it be at a school department, a city council meeting, whether it be at a subcommittee meeting, whether it be at the Woonsocket Housing Department. I would encourage you, starting tonight, to record these portions of the meeting, to broadcast them live. There's too many people in this community who have to work multiple jobs. There's too many in this community who don't have adequate transportation to get here. They don't have childcare. Any one of 100 legitimate reasons why they can't be here right now, although I'm sure some of them are aching to be. So please, record this portion of the meeting, share it with the community aggressively so that we can all learn from each other and we can all take part in the community. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kim Pierce. I work at Vernon Heights and at Coleman. I live in Lincoln, Rhode Island. I didn't write anything down because I had so many things I could have said, because I've seen so much. I have 2 schools, probably 500, 600 kids a week. My big concern that gets me up here is we had an early release day. Before lunchtime, we were told we're leaving early. We're leaving at 1:30. We started lunches. Kids are asking, why are we leaving? Why are we leaving? We couldn't say that there was a problem at the high school or middle school. There was a threat, but yet we're feeding them, but there's a threat and we're leaving early. So I'm confused. Why are we feeding them if there's a threat or a potential threat early that's bringing us the cause to leave early? Why do we feed them? And I hope this doesn't sound bad because I know everyone needs to be fed, but either we're in danger or we're not. Parents are coming to release their kids because the high school kids are gone. How do we know they're not a danger? How do we know who the danger is? And yet we're still sitting there in class waiting our turn to eat lunch. I was so confused. And I'm sure parents were. I don't get it. If honestly, I didn't get it. If there's a danger, bring the parents to take the kids. They can wait a few more hours to have some type of food. Their life is more important than whether or not they have hot lunch. I'm sorry. Anyway, I hope we can figure that out because it's important that we're safe even though we're hungry.
Thank you. I agree.
Hi. I know I'm short. Hi, my name is Shawna Lee Gonzalez of Woonsocket and a child at Globe Park. I am here to formally express deep concerns on behalf of parents, students, staff of Globe Park Elementary School regarding the ongoing roof leaks and their impact on our children's education. The recent decision on the extended school day by 28 minutes for the remainder of the academic year to make up for the missed 5 school days is unfair, disruptive in students, families, and educators. This issue stems from the school's failure to properly maintain the building since 2016. Now, nearly 9 years later, our children are being required to compensate for lost instructional time due to circumstances entirely beyond their control. This decision places an undue burden on students, parents, and staff who should not have to bear the consequences of long-standing maintenance's neglect. The extension of the school day will significantly impact daily routines. Students who are normally dismissed at 2:20 p.m. should have time to complete their homework, engage in extracurricular activities, and spend quality time with their families. Additionally, parents have work obligations that require them to be at their jobs by 4 p.m. And teachers, some of whom commute long distances, also have personal and family responsibilities. This change is practically concerning for students with special needs as they rely on structured schedules and routines that should not be disrupted. The lack of communication and parental input before implementing this decision is unacceptable. Parents should have been consulted to provide feedback on how this adjustment would affect their families. The students should not be held accountable for this administrative failures, nor should the staff, who are likely not receiving additional compensation for the extended hours. I strongly urge you to reconsider this decision and excuse the missed 5 days rather than penalizing students, parents, and staff. The responsibilities for these disruptions lies to those who failed to address the faculty issues in a timely manner, not with the school community that now has to bear the consequences. I appreciate your time and consideration and look forward to your prompt response on this matter. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address the school committee this evening?
My name is Jenny Peters, 36 Morton Ave, Woonsocket. I was not planning on speaking tonight. I have 2 kids at Vernon, 2nd and 5th grade. I was here not too long ago talking about safety because my son felt threatened by another student. And finally, things got a little better, but still, it's an issue. I'm there at the school all the time. And the fact that I'm considering homeschooling because I love my teachers, I love my kids' teacher and trust them with my kids, but I do not trust the system. I don't like that my kids are having gym outside because they don't have a room. And I'm thinking it's gonna be hot pretty soon. It's gonna be rainy days, but yet they can't have gym at their facility. They have to go outside. I see the teacher going outside with her stuff, so kids can have physical activities. Are they gonna fix it or not? Just because they're building a new school? I have concerns about safety of my kids. They have allergies to mold, and I don't trust my kids being at school right now for that issue. It's water issues at the gym in some classrooms, and it's concerning for them that they spend so much time there and for the teachers, and I feel bad for everybody that they have to be in that building. While I feel like everybody there, sitting there, or in a nice building with AC. And I don't think you guys have any issue with water damage or mold. While our kids sit in the room with those issues. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Michelle Marandola. I reside at 55 Huntington Avenue. I'm a school counselor at Villanova Middle School. One of the things that I've just been kind of taking things in, I usually prepare something when I'm going to speak. Tonight I did not. One of the things that I am noticing is obviously we are all coming together as a community of educators. A lot of us are residents or were residents at one point or another. And what I find kind of interesting as someone that works in more the mental health side of things, is that we make a big push for restorative practices in our district. That is the way we want to move things forward. We want to work collaboratively. We want to repair relationships. This is a great opportunity to repair relationships. Tonight, we have addressed and discussed the needs of the school community. We are trying to build healthy relationships. In this case, it's usually between educators and students, but in this case, we would love to see some relationships built between your educators and the administration and so forth and so on. We want to reduce, prevent, and improve harmful behavior. We're giving you the information, so now you just have to decide what you're going to do with it. Repairing harm and restoring positive relationships. There's been a lot of harm done. We're not necessarily saying it's your fault that it's happening, but we're telling you it's happening. And then the last part is holding individuals and groups accountable. We're holding you accountable, just like you hold us accountable. I would like for you to look around and think about the men and women that go to work every day as if they were your sons and daughters, your own children. Would you feel good and have a clean conscience having your own family members and people that you love go into these situations that you've heard tonight? I know what goes on at my school, and it's not great. And I have to say, after hearing some of this other stuff, I'm completely appalled and shocked. There is such a huge need for more mental health services. There's such a huge need. And I'm not just talking about the kids. Clearly, we have some needs going on here ourselves. We get our monthly EAP newsletters or whatever the heck it is. That's not cutting it right now. We need more. We need support. We need to know you care, and we need to know that you support us. So please consider everything that's been said and do the right thing and help us to help our children. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Kristen Beatson from 51 Gig Road in Barville, and I'm a special educator at Pothier School. This is completely off the cuff. I was not going to speak tonight, but I am nothing but an advocate for my students, and I teach a population that does not have a voice of their own and feel the need to speak for them. Obviously, all of us have dealt with some type of unsafe environment at work. But I'm sitting here thinking about my students and just some of the things that have gone on in the 8 weeks that I've been back since my maternity leave. We have had so many shelters in place at Pothier that have affected the schedule of our day that I have students in diapers sitting in their own waste waiting to be changed because I don't have a bathroom in my room and can't take them out for extended periods of time because a student is running rampant in the halls. We have students vomiting in the classroom who can't leave to go to the nurse because a student is running rampant in the halls. When these things are happening, my students thrive on a regimented schedule. And when it is time for recess and we are sitting there for a half an hour waiting to know what's coming next, I can't explain to them that it's not safe for us to leave the classroom right now. I just have to distract. And therefore, their day spirals out of control. And then when I tell the parents, I'm sorry, they cried all afternoon, I can't say because a student was running through the building unsafe and we were in a shelter in place and their whole routine was off. So yes, there is unsafe behaviors in the school, but it is impacting more than just those unsafe students and those teachers. The entire student body is being impacted every day. Their needs aren't being met physically, never mind their educational needs. I also want to speak on the fact that my classroom is next to what we call the behavior intervention office. The sounds that we hear in my classroom throughout the day would astound you. It sounds like a horror movie. We can hear furniture being thrown. There is screaming. There are teachers yelling. There are kids crying. There are teachers crying. There are staff outside of my room, sometimes 5 of them at once, trying to come up with a safety plan of what are we doing with this kid right now. And my students are inside, some of them with only a few words going, "What's that noise? Are you okay? What happened? Oh no." They're crying. That's traumatic. And they can't go home and tell their parents what happened because of their verbal abilities. So just think about them. That's why I spoke.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Karina Nguyen, 360 Sharon Street, Providence, Rhode Island, 02908. One thing I want to bring to your attention is not one middle school teacher has spoke tonight about safety concerns. I work here at Hamlet Middle School, and I'm truly blessed to be here. This is my 3rd year working in this district, and I come from one where there was only one middle school, and here there's 2. And whereas there were a ton of safety concerns at my last school, there are almost none here. And that speaks volumes to our administration, our staff, and how things are taken care of in our building. Something that I want to speak about is future safety concerns, as there is discussions about moving 7th and 8th grade to Villa and this building becoming a 5th and 6th grade building. My concern is that as we move over there, do you have systems put in place for all of those 7th and 8th graders that are going to be together in one building when they have never been before? Are you thinking about parents and the safety of the children? One privilege that we have of having 2 middle schools is that if there is bullying, if there is an issue that arises, if there is huge safety concerns, we can fix them at this time. A student can move to another building. You're helping families feel safe by having the 2 buildings and giving parents options. By putting us all in one building, you are taking all of that away, and you are putting over 200 additional students than we have now in one building and cramming us. Right now, we currently have 2 teams on each floor. We're going to be having 3. That's a huge safety concern. What if something happens? All those kids are together. Students will no longer have the privilege of transitioning off cluster to go to their encore classes, because now encore will be coming into our class to teach, since they will no longer have a classroom of their own. It's a huge disappointment that students will no longer, they will basically be on cluster all day. And these are high energy middle school students. The behaviors are going to increase if they don't have an outlet, if they don't have a place to go outside of their classroom, other than gym if they have it that quarter. So I want you to consider these things as you're making these big decisions without teacher input. And I would hope that you in the future have discussions with us about how we feel about it and hear our perspectives as we do work in these classrooms. And as I said, I did work in a building. It was one middle school in the whole district. There was nowhere for these kids to go if there were huge safety concerns. The only option was out of district placement, which is almost never happens because it's so expensive. And so as these teachers are talking about what's happening in Vernon and Globe, you're going to hear us say that in future years if you do transition to a model where 7th and 8th grade is only in one building. It's going to be us having these problems. So I hope that you take that into consideration, because right now we do have a really great thing going right now here in Woonsocket, at least for the middle schools. And I would love for that to continue. Thank you.
Thank you.
I got to get this up so I can get to my level. Can everybody hear me okay? All right. My name is Dylan Humphreys. I live in Cranston, Rhode Island. I don't want to disclose my address. The reason I wanted to speak tonight is for the similar reason Karina wanted to speak as well, which is representing the middle schools. I hear the elementary school voices, and I'm right there on the same side as you guys. 2 of my colleagues this year on my team are from the elementary level, and it's their first year in the middle school level. And to say it was pretty eye-opening for them within the first week would be an understatement. I've been here 8 years, and it's kind of surprising to me to say that. I've been in this building for 8 years now. I'm more proud of this job than I've ever been at this point, but there's a lot of changes that need to be made in terms of safety at all levels. The amount of altercations that students get into, that staff members who have to rush to in the middle of the hallways during passing time, off periods, missing preps, having to disrupt instruction because of different things that are going on. Same stuff here at the elementary level as it is there. It's a problem, because I know for a fact one of the things that always comes to mind for me specifically was just before the year that we implemented the ALICE training, when the Nashville situation happened. We were on lockdown here on that same day. And that 7th grade class that I had was in tears. The entire class was in tears. And to mention the child trauma, obviously, people speaking about our issues as well mentally and how that affects us, I had to leave the building and call my father in tears, telling him what happened. That should not be how we come to work. That should not be how it is. And that's a few years ago. I don't really feel that much safer, even with some of the things that we've implemented. There seems to be a lot more confusion than there is understanding about how things should be and how we feel safe, because we don't. I'm proud to work in Woonsocket. I did not grow up here. I'm an implant. I'm a coach here. I love what I do more than you guys realize. But I know how my colleagues feel too, and it's unacceptable, to be frank. But thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wants to address the school committee?
Hi,
there you are.
I'm Ian Shnesky. I'm a middle school teacher at Woonsocket Middle School at Villanova. Over the past few
Your name and
years,
address, please.
Ian Shnesky. I teach at Woonsocket Middle School at Villanova. Over the past few years, the district has been moving to a platform of PBIS, PBMH, and restorative practice. And I 100% buy into all of these things. I fully support them. But when you read into them, the foundation of all these programs is that like every single paper you read on these says these can only work if your children have a safe and stable environment where they can develop a rhythm and things are predictable. And the unfortunate reality is things are not safe and predictable in our middle schools right now, at least speaking from my own experience. I would say 65% of our students are rock solid. They're resilient, they can handle anything thrown at them, and they don't react, they're well regulated. 35% of our kids are on the edge. They want to be a part of the community, but either because of past trauma or experiences or just their home life, they don't necessarily have all the skills they need to manage their emotions, their feelings, and their thoughts. And these are the kids that need these stable environments the most. Unfortunately, about 5% of our students have no apparent desire, to be a part of our educational community within our building. And these students, they come into school and they actively target those 35%. They know they can get those kids unregulated. They know they can get those kids worked up. And then at that point, you've lost control of the entire classroom because of 3-4 kids on an entire team. We had a situation earlier this year where basically all of our 5%ers managed to somehow get an out of school suspension all in the same week. And I'll be honest, that was the most productive week we've ever had all year. Our 35%, we have kids who get multiple checks every single day, who get in trouble and you're in ISS or whatever, acting out. Those kids were completely regulated that entire week because those 5%ers weren't there. And I'm not saying we need to throw those kids out and send them to go to training school or whatever, but we need the resources to better accommodate those kids' needs so our 35%ers or so can get the support they need and feel safe and regulated in the classroom. And I want to tell you something that happened today, and this is, our schools are not safe for our students. And I don't mean just like in terms of like violence. I mean just like feeling safe and secure. I happened to be in the hallway when I heard a commotion today in the lavatory. I walked into the boys' lab and a kid was very distraught. He told me someone was recording him while he was in the bathroom stall. The perpetrator was still in the bathroom and admitted to recording the other kid over the stall. Okay? And sorry, this made me just give me a second here. That kid who was the victim here is never ever going to feel safe going to the bathroom in a public school again. And the thing is that really kills me is I don't know that kid is not going to see his victim first thing. Let me rephrase here. I can't look at the victim and tell him that he will be safe because in all likeliness, the perpetrator here will probably be back in his classroom on the same team, on the same cluster Monday morning. I can't look at this kid and tell him, I will make sure you are safe and feel safe in this bathroom because I honestly don't know. And based on what has happened so far this year, I've seen the kids who chronically do these horrible things, is that kid will probably be back in the same classroom on Monday morning. And that is just unacceptable. How many of you are parents here? Okay. How would you feel if you found out that your kid had someone take a picture of them in the bathroom and all the perpetrator got was a little slap on the wrist? Would you be okay with that? We need to make sure our schools are safe for our students, both physically and mentally. Our kids should be able to feel safe and knowing that they're not going to have someone record them in the bathroom. Thank you.
Thank you.
How you guys doing tonight? It's almost past my bedtime. I wasn't going to speak tonight because I figured I had no skin in the game. I don't work for the school department, but I'm a product of public education. And when I look out in the audience, I think of all my past educators, and I envision them being here tonight. So I'm here to speak on behalf of all these ladies and gentlemen. I was a correctional officer for 23 years. Until I was tragically injured, unfortunately, because I'd still be working at the prison. But I had more control over my cell block with 96 inmates and just me than all these folks have in their classrooms. And I hope it's not going on deaf ears, because there's nothing I can say that hasn't already been said tonight. But my wife's an educator here, and many a days, unfortunately, you have media outlets such as the news, social media. I hear of all these school lockdowns, and when it's the middle school, because that's where my wife works, I say to myself, boy, I hope she's all okay, you know? And I feel almost obligated to come to the school to ensure she is safe. But these people don't have the option. They rely on you to keep them safe. There needs to be more consequences within the schools. I don't know what the police officer's place is within the school, but something's apparently not working here. You need to do your research. You need to see what other communities are doing, and maybe implement some of their strategic plays into the school system here. But the main thing that I wanted to say up here, and nobody said, are we going to wait until Woonsocket School Department becomes a sad statistic, until somebody's killed? I mean, what are we going to do here? We need to address the situation now. Let's be proactive instead of reactive. When my head hits the pillow tonight, I'm going to have a clear conscience, and I hope you people can do the same. Thank you.
Before you go, his name is Jacob. I was going to have you state your name and your address.
My name's Jacob Crane, and I'm proudly to say I'm a resident of Woonsocket on 81 Dana Street. Come and say hello to me.
Thank you. I want to thank everyone for your comments this evening. I'm glad you came out, and we hear you, and we'll take it from there. We are now going to go into the approval of minutes, and I'll make a motion to approve the March 12, 2025 closed meeting minutes. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Leclerc. Dr. McGee, roll call.
Chairman Bourget,
Yes.
Vice Chair Burke.
I can't hear you, sorry.
Can't hear you.
We should take a break.
Oh, wait. Ow. Ow.
Listen to
The
them.
rep just went to the bathroom. She'll be right back.
Don't we tape? Don't we tape? Take comments? What is he saying right now?
Because there's been a couple of times where we've had technical issues, and I'm sure the public's told me not. I was going to go tell them.
Okay.
We do record. As soon as the meeting's called to order, I record it. Anyone that speaks in there should have the record.
All right.
It's recorded. Do that.
Excuse me, but we're trying to run the meeting, so would you keep your voices down, please?
Want to start that one over again?
I am.
Start that one over again.
Now we'll go into the approval of minutes, and I'll make a motion to approve the March 12 closed meeting minutes. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Leclerc. Any corrections to those minutes? Dr. McGee?
Chairman Bourget,
Yes.
Vice Chair Burke,
Yes.
Kapiskas,
Same.
Mr. Leclerc.
Yes.
Next, I'll make a motion to approve the open meeting minutes. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Leclerc. Any changes to those minutes? Dr. McGee?
Chairman Bourget,
Yes.
Vice Chair Burke,
Yes.
Mrs. Kapiskas,
Yes.
Mr. Leclerc.
Yes.
Now we'll go into the consent agenda. I'll make a motion to approve, to discuss and approve the consent agenda. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Leclerc. Any change? Anyone want to take anything out of order?
Nope.
Dr. McGee?
Chairman Bourget,
Yes.
Vice Chair Burke,
Yes.
Mrs. Kapiskas,
Yes.
Mr. Leclerc.
Yes.
Next, I'll ask Leilani if she would give us her report.
Thank you. I just want to make note that where there are challenges, there are also positive things that occur alongside them. So much has happened in the past month, and due to my absence for the meeting that occurred on March 12th and the seniors that have spoken on concerns for the high school during good and welfare, I have chosen to highlight the positive for the children that have persevered despite the challenges surrounding them. Starting off with FBLA, Ms. Croft, who is the advisor, brought a group of about 15 students to compete in a variety of competitions. A huge congratulations, because almost all WHS participants placed in top 5 against students from 10 other schools for their objective tests and their skill competition, which has qualified them for nationals in Anaheim, California this year. A special highlight to junior Janiyah Campbell, who is now a part of the Rhode Island State Officer Team for FBLA, serving as historian and reporter for the 2025-2026 school year. This is the first representative that the Woonsocket FBLA chapter has had in the past few years. Moving on to Skills USA, a large sum of students attended a variety of facilities for Skills USA competitions that have occurred within the past 2 weeks. The awards night ceremony will be held at the Vets in Providence on Wednesday, April 2nd.
I'm not sure of the time for that, sorry. Competitors are encouraged to attend to find out if they have placed. Advisors, parents, and friends can also attend, but we'll have a separate section from the competitors to be seated. Mamma Mia! Mamma Mia tickets will be available for purchase starting April 14th. The tickets will be $10 if purchased in advance and $15 if purchased at the door. I'd especially like to highlight the fact that we are having a matinee on May 3rd, which is our Saturday show. This is the first time that the theater program will be doing this, so take opportunity. It's very encouraged to take the opportunity and make a plan to buy your tickets before we sell out. As the main student lead, I can say confidently that the alumni, student leads, and ensemble are ecstatic to see you in the crowd and feel your love and support. NHS and RIHS induction. This is just a reminder that National Honor Society and Rhode Island Honor Society inductions are taking place on May 20th, 6 p.m. at Woonsocket High School. Let's support our academically advanced students who have worked extremely hard for this JPA awarded recognition. Now, these are just not minor, but smaller reports regarding there's music department field trips. So some members of the music department went to go see Wizard of Oz and reported that they had a lot of fun and it was a great experience. There was a PBS field trip for those in digital media, which helped them to evaluate how film works in the PBS industry. P-Tech students are collaborating in a social engineering project with CVS, and I can speak from knowing some of these students. I'm very excited to see the finished product and how the experience will impact the students' future. Our debate team, we want to give a big congratulations to Amanda Pierre, Paul, and Malachi Mason for winning the Boston City JV League. These bright minds have worked hard in their communication and presentation skills over the course of the year. This is a huge accomplishment for our debate team and shines a bright light on a side of the school that we don't often see. Cheerleading competitions. First competition took place on February 16th, which the team came in 5th place. They also had 2 competitions in March, and in which, on March 1st and March 8th, where they also placed 4th and 5th. This competition team received recognition for their best choreography. So big congrats to them. And then lastly, parent-teacher conferences. Parent-teacher conferences are being held Thursday night from 4 to 7 p.m. this week. Class of 2025 is holding a fundraiser for teachers and administration at WHS that night. So if you'd like to place an order at D'Angelo's and have the class officers deliver it to you, please contact Jessica Wheaton via email or sign up on the paper in the upper library for those who are within the building of the high school. And that concludes my report. Any questions I can
Thank
take?
you very much. Any questions for Ms. Sanchez?
Did you say you are the lead for Mamma Mia?
I am.
Wow. So when I asked you to sing earlier to our crowd, you said no. I don't understand why.
Let's just say we're gonna leave it a surprise for show days. Gotta conserve the voice.
Can't wait. Can't wait to see you and hear you.
Thank you, I appreciate
Super.
it.
Anyone else? I'll make a motion to receive and place on file our students' representative report. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Leclerc. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Dr. McGee, I'm going to ask you to give us your report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I'm going to start with the personnel matters update. The committee has a list of the staffing changes from the last school committee meeting. You see that we have one position that was filled. It's a school secretary position at Globe Park. We have our hourly stipend extracurricular positions here, as well as retirements, separations, transfers, and leave of absence. I would ask Ms. Kitchen, do you have the updated numbers? Okay, we don't have the updated numbers this evening. I'll get those to you tomorrow. I will get those tomorrow. I'd like to, secondly, I'd like to address the expression of dissatisfaction, which is an understatement, to the union. First, I know there was one main question initially, the fear that those who spoke tonight, there would somehow be retribution. First, I want to thank those who spoke this evening. I want to thank the union for being here and expressing their concerns. I can tell you there will not be any retribution for anyone who spoke this evening. It took a lot of courage, and I respect that. And there will not be any retribution. You have my word. Secondly, we have a lot of work to do. There were many members here that were here this evening that they feel unsafe. My job as the chief executive of a school department is to make sure that all of our teachers and all of our staff and all of our educators feel safe. That is my responsibility. I need to do a better job. I can tell you that I am committed, my team is committed to working with the union so that teachers and staff and students come to school not in fear, but excited. Now, this might sound like just a lot of rhetoric. Like, what else do you expect me to say, right? I've been around here a long time, and I'm pretty invested here in this community, in this district. And we need to work together. And I just want you to know that you have my commitment and my team's commitment to work with you so that we can improve the conditions in this district. I think meeting regularly is a good idea, and we can talk about that. We can talk about the logistics of what that could look like. But I think it's important that we communicate without jeopardizing student identity and FERPA laws. But I think it's important that we communicate regularly. And I'll be reaching out to the union leadership to coordinate what that's going to look like.
Are you done?
Thank you. You deserve some applause for that.
That's it.
Oh.
You're waiting for more.
No, I didn't know. I didn't know if you usually
That's-
tell me you're done.
That's all I've got right now.
Any comments for Dr. McGee?
To the point.
Vice Chair Burke?
As a former teacher, I do sympathize with a lot of the comments said tonight. But, the sad thing is, we don't live in a vacuum in this world anymore. And there's more of a crisis in education just in our own individual classrooms. Students are not going into the education field. And there was a lot of comments made tonight about, well, you need positions. I know we keep trying to fill all those positions. We look for people to come. I know our HR director goes out and pulls people in, but people don't come into education. I mean, that's sad. That's really sad. And I think, we got to understand that there are other issues out there that we have no control over. Society, and right now we're looking for more. Well, the Department of Education is being dismantled right now. And we know that's going to affect us even more down the road. And when it does, it's not our fault. It's not the teacher's fault. It's not the administration's fault. Sadly, it's what's going on in our world today. And I don't know. I was thinking of some of these things as people were speaking, and I do feel, obviously, for every comment that was made. But there are some things that are beyond our control, and I don't know the answers. I don't know the answer. Maybe we need to ask more questions. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Burke. Mrs. Kapiskas?
I don't get a clap?
Wow. Good for you. Mrs. Kapiskas?
Begging for that much, Mr. Burke?
Hold on.
I just have a couple of comments. I will say that I have a child who works in the district at Pothier Citizens, and I hear these stories every single night at dinner. So I'm certainly very familiar with them and very familiar with the problems that we have. But I have another question. It had to do with the personnel matters. I noticed that we have 2 more administrators who have left, 2 assistant principals at the high school. That's in addition to the assistant principals at Citizens. So we're not just losing staff now, we're losing administrators. And I realize I don't want to discuss details, but I just want to know, are we still doing exit interviews when people leave so we know why these people are leaving? I know we don't want to discuss why, but I just want to know that we're doing them.
So we are doing the exit interviews, and my plan this year is to gather the data from last year and this year, my 2 years. So we have a breakdown of why people are leaving the district. So I plan on having that by September of this year and last year, and why people left the district for the committee.
I'm just hoping if we can figure out what it is, maybe we can solve it.
For my part, it was incredible to hear the testimony of all the folks who spoke tonight. And I agree with the superintendent and with all of you that there is a problem in our schools. The answers are not going to be easily arrived at. I think meetings that occur often, we're going to have to solve this with the people we have. You know, as Vice Chair Burke said, it's very hard to find people. It's very hard to fill positions. But with the people we have, since you are all aware, teachers, administrators in the schools, you're aware what's going on. And if it funnels to our union leadership, or even to bring in the teachers who are experiencing major issues, by discussing them, we'll find some solutions as best we can, because I sat here trying to figure out what's the answer. I don't have one, because these occurrences are very fluid. You never know when something is going to happen in the school. What it is, you find out when you get into the school in the morning. And I can imagine the trepidation of saying, well, gee, tomorrow I've got to go back to my class, or I got to go back to the lunchroom, or I got to go back and there's a lockdown. Things are happening. But the only way that can be solved is as a team. It's not just the administration, like you see it. It's not just McPhee that's going to make this happen. It's got to be all of us. It's the only way, because you all know we have limited resources. We cannot control what happens to those children when they go back home and when they come to school, and what are they bringing with them that they took from home. That we're finding that result when they come into class. So I'm glad we had all the folks speak tonight, because it shed a lot of light on the problems that you're all facing, and at all levels of education in our district. And I just think it's something that has to be done right away. I think we have to put a lot of energy into it and really try to find the best solutions we can. Ms. Leclerc, you want to add to the?
I was very impressed and simply amazed at the heartfelt comments from all individuals that spoke tonight. This is a bigger problem than all of us, and I think we're going to need the union to work with us, and we will work with you to solve these issues. It's just amazing to me, but we're just going to have to push forward, and we need to work with each other. We can't have animosity. We need to do it in the proper way. So I have a lot of questions that need to be answered, and I think we should start having meetings very soon. Thank you.
Anyone else? Then I'll make a motion to receive and place on file the superintendent's report. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Leclerc. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Again, I want to thank all of you for sharing your comments and your thoughts with us. You may not have skin in the game, but I think we all have skin in the game. This is our community, and so we are all involved. Next, we'll go to the school subcommittee reports, and I'll ask Mrs. Kapiskas to give us the curriculum subcommittee report.
Now on to the boring stuff. Sorry. Woonsocket, it certainly isn't exciting. Woonsocket School Committee Curriculum Subcommittee met on St. Patrick's Day. After approving our minutes, we approved a new middle school social studies curriculum that was recommended. Dr. Holt presented 2 quotes from McGraw-Hill, one for each middle school. The curriculum is greenlit by Ed Reports, which is required because it has to be acceptable to RIDE, and it's been vetted by the staff and administration and meets with their approval. Mr. Perea advised that we can approve the expenditure, but he will not, quote, push the button on the purchase order, close quote, until July 1st when we have a better handle on the budget. The high school continues to explore curriculum for social studies as they were not particularly pleased with the McGraw-Hill offering. That purchase will be moving forward to the full school committee if we didn't already vote on it, which I don't think we did. We moved on then to a report on CSIP status, Comprehensive Support Intervention Update. First information reports were due to RIDE that day from the district for all schools in CSIP status, and that has been completed. Those reports include a need assessment, curriculum implementation, the 5 whys, a root analysis as to what's going on, why, and how we need to help or intervene. The next set of reports are around resource allocation review, what subgroups are struggling, and analysis of why and how to address those. With all this process comes some additional money for implementation. The CSIP team at each school will determine how the funds will be spent. This time around, RIDE seems to be providing additional support to the district, working through CSIP more so than in the past. Dr. Holt thinks this is due to a better relationship between the district and personnel at RIDE. Rather than just being compliance-driven, the district is receiving actual support from RIDE. WED is also happy with their assigned liaison, as she is a former WED educator. No vote was required, just a report out on the process. Then we had a report out on instructional empowerment and the model of instruction with additional information provided for the team as to how we can work through the levels. There are 6 levels of the model of instruction. We have only scratched the surface at the first level, and we're trying to move into the second level at this point. The whole purpose of this is basically to teach what we used to call soft skills, which is teaching everyone to work as a team. The team takes ownership of the learning and achieving, so we won't have those situations that we had when I was in school where 2 people do all the work and 5 people get all the credit. I have an awful lot of stuff on model of instruction. If you want more information, contact me. I'll share my full notes. The next meeting of the curriculum subcommittee was scheduled for April 28th, 2025 at 3:30. I believe that has changed. Isn't that the one we had to change? Because there's a conflict. I don't know that we have a new date yet. If we do, I'll provide it. And that concludes my report, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mrs. Kepiscus. Any questions for her? Then I'll make a motion to receive, place on file the curriculum subcommittee update. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Chair Burke and Mr. Leclerc. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Mr. Notoriani, would you give us the building committee update?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The building committee met last Friday at 2:30 PM here at Hamlet Middle School. The agenda covered basically our redesign efforts based on the feedback that the district administrative team had for the architects. So that pertained to basically the size of the classrooms, hallway structures. The building committee voted to approve the recommended changes, and the building committee will be meeting in the next couple of weeks to approve a final design, DD design submittal to RIDE, so for the next steps for the school construction. And that concluded the meeting.
Any questions for Mr. Notoriani? Then I'll make a motion to receive and place on file the building committee update. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Leclerc. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ms. Morrell, would you give us your report?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In front of you, I have outlined some professional development that the special education department has been providing teachers from pre-K to 12 plus. Weekly, we have a proofreading IEP checklist that is going out and focuses each week on a different section. And these offerings are reminding teachers and help guiding them on different parts of the IEP to make sure that we are meeting the rigorous federal and state guidelines in their IEP writing. We're also supporting teachers at their schools with the special education department has continued to collaborate with the consultant from New England Base Camp office hours on a monthly basis at each Woonsocket Elementary School. The purpose of the office hours is to take the information that they're learning in their professional development and putting it into practice. Throughout the course of the year, some of the PDs that we have offered focused on a functional behavior assessments to help teachers how to collect the data and present that at an IEP meeting, as well as behavior intervention plans to help support students in the classrooms. And these are also, we also have, a joint PD with Goal Book to help strengthen our progress monitoring and IEP goal writing. With that, we also have the snapshot enrollment numbers. Currently, as of March 7th, we have a total number of 1,435 students receiving special education services within our school buildings from pre-K through 12th grade. This represents 27% of our enrollment population of approximately 5,293 students. Currently, we have 21 students in our TransPro program. That's our 21 18 plus to 22. We have 117 students in our out-of-district placements, with 114 of them with IEPs. And we currently have 202 students in private schools and pre-K programs. This is an uptick from the last time I reported out. Right now is the time of year where evaluations have been completed and students are being found eligible for services. Do you have questions at this time?
Any questions, comments? No. Thank you very much for your report, Mrs. Morel.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion to receive and place on file a special education update. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Leclerc. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Mr. Perrier, your financial report, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In front of the school committee this evening is the January 2025 fiscal update. Currently, the district is projecting a $45,000 surplus as of June 30th, 2025. Some financial highlights on the revenue side: due to higher than anticipated billings, Medicaid revenue is projected to be over budget by approximately $500,000 at this time. We will continue to monitor this projection to see if any increase will continue to happen as the year closes out. The expenditure side, currently all salaries are $1.498 million under budget at this time. When netted with the employee turnover allowance of a little over $1 million, this would put overall salaries $448K under budget. Substitute salary line is $121,000 over budget. The substitute pay projection has leveled off due to the majority of our positions being filled. Medical expenses are currently $173,000 over budget. This is the January update, so we're a little over halfway through the year at this time. We will continue to monitor this expense. We have approximately $1 million in OPEB funding to fall back on, as well as $2 million in a medical pooling account for any potential medical overruns that happen between now and June 30th. The pensions across the board are scheduled to come in over budget. As I mentioned in the prior meeting, there was a very late change in pension rate by legislation, and we will be looking to make an amendment at some point before the end of the year. Overages and purchase services are due to us being unable to fill some budgeted salary positions. These expense overages are offset by the savings we are currently having in our salary lines. Transportation was currently adjusted up with the anticipation of additional buses coming from the Department of Education. We have received our first bill for those additional buses that have been hired from the state, and we have now factor that in through June 30th so that we have expenses covered through the end of the fiscal year. Tuitions to private sources are over budget by a little over $1 million. This has come down over the prior month. We were able to close out some outstanding purchase orders that were open, and we will continue to find ways to recall students back to the district when it is appropriate. And as I mentioned at the beginning, we are currently projecting a $45,000 surplus. And if the committee has any questions, I would love to answer them now.
Any questions from Mr. Perrier?
Mr. Chairman, not an expert on this, but we have heard talk about an effect on Medicaid and Medicaid payments. And I know in our budget, we budgeted $2 million Medicaid payments. Now, I know you don't have a crystal ball, but but if there's effect with Medicaid, it will affect us.
100%.
All right.
I do not have I'm going to be honest. I actually do have a crystal ball back at the office, but it's never been as cloudy as it has going into next budget cycle for fiscal year 26. I think between the Medicaid that you talked about, and particularly federal funding, not really sure what's going to happen with that. At this moment, I don't think RIDE has any point or has any information. It would have been shared out with us at this point. I think RIDE is still waiting to really hear what is going to become of the CRP, which is Title I, Title II, Title III, IDEA pre-K. That's all in probably roughly about $10 million of our overall budget, which represents about 10% based on the $100 million budget we have in the general fund this year. So between that $10 million and the approximate $2.5 million in Medicaid revenue, I'm sorry, I've heard everybody talking earlier today, and there's nothing that I would like more just to throw anything on the table and fill everything that everybody's looking for. But, I hate to be the bearer of bad news here. It's not possible. It's not possible. Look at our funding. Look what's transpired over the last 10 years. We are still underfunded.
By some $20 million.
Do you know what we could do with that $20 million a year? We could solve a lot of these problems overnight. That's what we could do with this $20 million a year. Instead, since I've been here, it's been a shoestring budget. When I started here, this district was in deficit to the tune of about $9 million. That was when it was at its worst. I think we've done a great job with the limited resources, and I know it doesn't seem like it, and I know there's a lot of people upset with the current situation of things, but at the end of the day, there's only so much money to go around. Now, can we address some of these issues? Yeah, absolutely. But at what cost? And I think that's the conversation that needs to be had. If we're serious about fixing these problems, not only do we need to talk about what we need to talk about how we're going to pay for it. That's all I really have to say about that.
In the way you explained it, Mr. Perrier, and we know the budget, last year we had to cut all those positions to make sure we were not in the red. So the needs that we have, it has to come from somewhere. If we don't get additional funding, or worse, if the funding gets cut.
We cut almost 40 positions this year.
Right.
And that's obviously being felt in the schools at this point. I think without a doubt. You heard from everybody tonight. But the reality is, what are we going to cut next? We're looking at about a $3 million increase from state aid next year. I'm not convinced. That's what the governor's proposed budget was, but we'll see what happens when things work through legislation in June. I'm very leery of that. I hope I'm wrong. But really, funding across the board, I've been here 10 years. In my 10 years, I have never been more unsure of a budget going into next fiscal year.
Mrs. Kepiscus.
May I ask you a specific question? And I'll put my neck right in the guillotine right next to you. Where's the underfunding coming from? Federal, state, local, all of the above?
I think I've shared that with everybody here historically. It's been difficult securing additional funding at the local level. Let's just be honest with it. I know things are difficult over on the city side as well, but the reality is we've basically been level funded for the last 10 years. We have gotten a few small increases, but the reality is we've been basically level funded. And if you work in time value of money, you could probably make the argument that we receive less funding now than we did 10 years ago. It's not a shot at anybody. It's fact. And I know it's very difficult with the city the city's fiscal situation is difficult. Things have been very difficult. I don't know if anybody recalls the Budget Commission was here. We had a state takeover of this district 10 years ago. And resources were very scarce then. I think we've done nothing but add things back over these last 10 years since I've been here. But it appears it's not enough.
And over the past years, we have added personnel like social workers, and we have hired BIs. And I remember my first year on a school committee, and I'm sure Vice Chair Burke remembers when Dr. McGee would put on a screen his wish list. And it was always like, can I have one extra social worker? Can I have a BI? Can I have one? And we couldn't afford it because we had just been climbing out of the Budget Commission hole of that $9 million that you spoke of. And it took a long time to get out of that hole to show black numbers. It was very difficult. And as you said, the city has not come forward. We can ask up to 4% of our maintenance of effort. And they haven't even reached once they have given that. And if we had gotten that piece, we would have enough, we would have that money that we could have the personnel that we need. But we don't. And so it makes it even tighter. And most of our aid is dependent on the state. And like you said, we're holding our breath that the General Assembly comes through for us, because if they don't, it's going to be hell to pay. Dr. McGee?
I'm going to wait for the committee to respond if they.
Good.
So I mean no disrespect to the municipality. I mean no disrespect to, the council or the mayor. Believe me, I do not. But the chickens have come home to roost. And we are, as Brad said, every year we look to see what the state is going to give us, because that's been the only area that we've seen an increase in funding. So we live and die on what the state gives us. And there were a lot of very passionate, excellent, dedicated educators that were here tonight. If we can mobilize a group like this and go to the city council when they're actually hearing specific stories, without naming names, knowing what's happening, they need to know. We tell them every year, we meet and we provide them with our budget and our needs. And some of you that are here this evening were here last year when we had that joint meeting. And I talked about, as Brad was saying, the wish list and we need, and we were given $150,000. That's nothing. Until this district is funded adequately from all sources, then we're going to continue to have issues, whether they're academic or whether they are social emotional or they're behavioral. Because I've got news for the city. The social emotional and the behavioral challenges are not getting any better. They're getting worse. And until there's a commitment from the city, and I get it, they have their financial issues. Well, maybe they should move some things around in their budget so that they can provide us with a little bit more money. And again, I mean no disrespect. I'm the superintendent. I am here to advocate for my school district. We need more money, period. Find a way.
Mr. Chairman,
Ms. Kepiscus.
just one additional comment. When everything was going on with the RISE proposal to convert from a mayoral academy to a charter, I showed up at a city council meeting and said to them, understand that if this comes to pass, it's going to cost us $500,000. And if you don't understand what that means that we're going to stand in front of you and ask for that $500,000 because we have to make up for that shortfall somewhere. And RIDE's not going to give it to us, and you haven't been giving it to us. So it's time. And I was called a liar at that meeting. So what I'm telling you is we would love it if the union would help mobilize a force and show up at the city council meeting as well. We can't show up as in force because we violate the OMA when we do that. But I'd be happy to sit there and applaud furiously as you explain the needs of this district to the people who don't seem to want to hear about it.
Good job.
Good and welfare
Very nice.
at the city council or any organization sometimes is listened to but not acted upon. But if we muster the same kind of group at City Hall where there's no room, and we have the same, if we go another hour and 40 minutes like we did tonight at City Hall, I don't know what's going to happen, but at least our voices will be heard, and hopefully they will do something. The finances are very, very tight there as well. Mr. Perry is telling us right now, I don't know where we're going to get the money. They're going to do the same, but we have to make the ask, and we have to make it a lot stronger than we ever have in the past. We cannot have a school committee member called a liar, or you're just talking smoke. We know what the numbers are. We know, and those numbers are not just dollars, they're people. They're people that we need to help us with our children. So when it's time, we're going to need to muster. Part of that discussion you were talking about, part of that discussion is mobilizing a force to go to City Hall and talk and talk to the city council. Anyone else? Then I'll make a motion to receive and place on file the financial update. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Leclerc. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We have one more item on our agenda, and I'll make a motion to discuss and approve the amendments to the transportation policy. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Chair Burke and Mr. Leclerc. Who would like to talk about the changes? What do we need to know?
I went over it basically when we discussed the policy subcommittee report, but I can give you a little summary. Basically, what happened is Durham was experiencing the same behavioral problems on the buses as we're experiencing in the schools, and they were looking for some enforcement from the district to remove students from buses and essentially create a suspension system to suspend students from busing. And in conjunction with our attorneys, a policy was drafted that provides basically a student discipline policy for busing. And that's the policy that is before you, and it gives them the ability to report any disruptive behavior to the administrator for the school that is involved. The administrator would make the decision as to any discipline that would be imposed, including but not limited to suspension from busing. It would not be an expulsion, it would be a suspension for a period of time. If it involved a special education student under IDEA, there will be some same sort of manifestation hearing. But it basically provides a scheme to enforce discipline on our buses.
Okay. Thank you.
And again, it's a safety issue for them as well.
Of course. Any comments, questions? Dr. McGee?
Chairman Bourget,
Yes.
Vice Chair Burke.
Yes.
Mrs. Kepiscus.
Yes.
Mr. Leclerc.
Yes.
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting at 9:29 PM. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Leclerc. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.